going to play this video. Okay, I know you can hear me right now.
I can hear you.
Okay, good. First time
you can hear me also.
Oh, it's amazing. We
Oh, did we win?
Maybe, but I don't know if anybody actually.
Episode. Did anyone know? Did anyone know? That's how it ended. We got the audio to work. That was the final episode.
It just doesn't get any better than this, right? Why go on? It's not going to get any better.
So happy right now.
Hey, world, you can hear Dave. I can hear Dave. It's the Sports and Drafts show with Dave and Chuck. He's Dave. I'm Chuck. Tonight, wow, what an exciting, well, it started off kind of boring, but what an exciting first week of NFL football, some college football. We suck at fantasy draft football. Just a lot of football. We've got our Play It Through segment of the week, appropriate for the day. And how you doing? How was your week?
Good. Weekend was good. I got to catch a lot of action. Went to a neighborhood barbecue on Saturday and got to see, while I was there, it was on the both the LSU Texas game, and then in the morning that Clemson Texas A&M game was on there. And then they had a second little monitor that they were running the Pac-12 network on all day.
Oh, nice.
So that was kind of cool. We got to watch, like I said before, I'm going to call the Pac-12 the Pac-10 forever because I don't care. But yeah, they had the network on, and so it was just showing every Pac-10 game that was on. So the Ducks game, I got to watch that, so I was happy because I never thought I was going to see that because I don't get Pac-12 network with what I use at home. So that was cool. I got to see my college play, and I didn't think I was going to in that route against Nevada, which one of those shouldn't be really scheduled games. But sometimes Nevada is pretty legit. I mean, Nevada's had some good teams in the past. And they got money to go to Autzen, so they're welcome. But, overall, it was a good weekend, up until this morning at about 6:30 this morning. But
what was that?
We'll talk about that later.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's when the USA men's basketball game ended in China. Was at about 6 a.m. this morning.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Yeah, I was off on a bike ride Saturday and got sucked into riding. No, I didn't get sucked into. I actually asked and rode 52 miles, almost 3,000 feet of climbing, and I bonked at about mile 32. At one point, the temperature is between 95 and 105 degrees up in Ojai Valley. We rode from Santa Paula into Ventura up through Ojai Valley. And I was basically riding by myself for quite a while and riding about half a mile to shade, resting, half a mile to shade, rest. I thought, yep, I'm out here to die. The buzzards are circling, and this is it for me. But I finally made it to the summit, and they had this great little roadside burger shack. It's called the Summit, I probably the worst thing I could have done, when you're dehydrated. I did find a place I could fill up my water bottles, but I was still hot, dehydrated. Ordered a nice big fat burger, fries, strawberry milkshake, and a large Coke. And I thought, I'm gonna be sick after this. And then I had 7 miles left after that downhill, but it was all downhill. But yeah, that kicked my ass on Saturday. But I tried to get the game on XM, and I don't have that channel. I don't have the Pac-12 on Sirius XM, but I was trying to listen to the game. But what a ride! I think Oregon 77 points was the highest of any college football team for the week.
So. Yeah, I think so. I know A-Bear had a lot better game, and I don't know, they looked a lot more solid. The defense flew around a lot more, and we'll see how they get towards Pac-10 play. That's when it matters.
So, a little baseball. All I know, and I almost for my beer this week, I almost got the LA Dodgers blonde. I just can't go blonde.
Mm.
But they have their own beer here at the store, and so I almost got that for them winning their division. But so what else happened in baseball?
Not much. Yeah, the Dodgers wrapped that up, the NL West, for the seventh time in a row. So we'll see how they do in the World Series again if they make it, because that's all that matters if you're a Dodger fan, pretty much, because that's kind of expected now that you've been to the World Series so many times now in recent years and you can't pull it off. So winning that division's not going to satisfy them anymore, I don't think. But so last week I said to watch Yankees Red Sox again. Yankees won that series 2-1. And some kind of big news for the Red Sox. They fired their general manager, Dave Dombrowski. Yep. He's like one of the best general managers in the league. Like, they're not going to make the playoffs this year. They're going to miss. They're going to just miss out. But they had a lot of pitchers that have been hurt this year. They've had a lot of injuries this year. They won the World Series last year. Are you telling me in like less than a year, this guy's now just a complete idiot? He won you a World Series. They haven't won that many in the past 100 years. Look it up. Remember that whole story when they finally won one again? Like back, before this little decade happened. You don't fire that guy that helps you get a ring when you haven't won that many, like the year after he does it. If I'm almost any Major League Baseball team, I'm getting a new general manager today. Like, he could go to 80% of the teams and be a better general manager than what they already have. He's one of the best. He got like the Marlins to the World Series when they still didn't have anyone on their team and they were a new franchise. Like, this guy's got a track record. He had the Tigers win some AL Central division pennants. Like, the Tigers haven't been anything when he hasn't been there. Like, the guy's track record, like, you just don't fire these guys that easily, I don't think. So that to me was big, because I was just like, why? Who are you going to get that's better?
I agree with you. I heard that news and I was listening to a couple of programs about it, and it's what have you done for me lately? I guess the fall off was just too much. And but yeah, this guy's got too good a track record. There maybe there's something else behind the scenes that led to it.
Yeah. I mean, I saw some things that he maybe wasn't as well liked. Maybe he didn't have the friendliest communication with other executives that work there in high baseball profile positions. I guess his relationships with people could be a little bit salty, but I mean, okay, if sure. I'm winning World Series a year ago, we don't have to go have dinner together on Thursday nights with our wives. Like, these guys make millions of dollars. They're professionals. They're the best at what they do. Only 30 other people, 32 or some other people have their job in the whole world. Like, there's not a lot of these guys that can do this really good, and he does. So I'm interested. Like, I'm real curious to see what the new person does now. Who they hire, what happens now? Do they just sell everyone off and rebuild? Like, the Red Sox just rebuild overall now? Because probably. I mean, if you're this pissed off because you barely missed the playoffs after you won the World Series, that you're going to fire some of your smartest people, I think they might start a rebuild.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I don't think it'll be long before he has a job again.
Oh, no, I would hope not. I'll take him on my Giants. We'll take him.
So who do you have a pick that's going to make it to the World Series? You think Dodgers?
I think Houston's going to – well, no, Houston's AL. I think the Houston could kind of – they're my sneaky pick to maybe upset the Yankees in the AL. But the NL, the Dodgers, I don't – Atlanta's kind of sneaky good. Like, I don't know a lot about Atlanta other than they've won a lot of games. So I'd say my sneaky pick would be Atlanta, maybe, just because I don't know a lot about them, but they've won a ton of games, and the Dodgers, are historically lately not great in postseason when it counts. I think the Braves could sneakily get past the Dodgers. That's the only team I think could do it right now. Milwaukee just lost their best player, Christian Yelich, who's an MVP candidate for the rest of the year, over the weekend. So, or maybe even yesterday. Might have been yesterday. But yeah, their best players out, like MVP of the league out. So we'll have to see where they go. But and they're one of the ones that I had last week. They actually won their series with the Cubs 2-1, which they need because they're just out of the wild card right now and trying to build up. So Milwaukee needs all those wins, but without their best player, man, it'll be interesting to see how well Milwaukee does their last 4 or 5 series of the year without him.
So switch it up. I actually watched a little bit of this game, a little college football, the Clemson Texas A&M game. That was actually a much closer game early. It was a good game.
Yeah. And I still, just like the first week, I don't think that Clemson quarterback's a really great passer of the ball yet. Like, I didn't see a lot of real, great quarterback play still. I mean, they won.
Sure.
But I'm thinking if you can wrangle in that running game of Clemson, you might have a shot if you make them pass a lot. Like, if anyone can actually just be physical enough with them that they can't run the ball down your throat. I think if you make that kid throw a lot of balls at Clemson, they could get upset. Someone can figure that out.
I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna skip your second one there. The USC Stanford. That's with the new quarterback in there. That's a big win for them. I mean, that's a lot of momentum. I mean, losing their quarterback, right? And
yeah, it was battle of the backup quarterbacks. So, USC had their backup quarterback, Stanford had theirs, and Stanford, it was a good game. I watched quite a bit of this game. It was kind of back and forth at the start, and they were really going at each other, and Stanford just kind of broke away there at the end. But it was a pretty competitive game overall. I think Stanford, though, they get their starting quarterback back, I believe, this week or next week. So he had like a concussion in the first week. So they kept him out of the second game for like protocol because I guess they felt he wasn't ready yet. But so I think Stanford's actually going to have their starting quarterback back this week. But that kid, comes in, loses, that Stanford kid comes in for one game, ends up losing to the backup USC kid. And now this USC kid gets to be the starter, all year. And what confidence for him, such a big win for him to beat Stanford, a NorCal, SoCal rivalry type game. And for him to do that in his first game, it'll be exciting to see if USC can build off this momentum, because they have one of my games to watch this week because they don't have an easy non-conference game this week either. So it'll be interesting to see how this kid can do on the road.
The LSU Texas game, was that the highest ranked game of the week with the two highest ranked teams? I think
so. Yeah, and that was a really good game. They had so LSU won by 7, right? I think the line was LSU 6.5. So they had the line like right there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was LSU 6.5 was the line, and they won by 7. So LSU just covered. But that was a really good game. I got to see a lot of that game, and it went back and forth, and good players made good plays. You could see really how athletic LSU was in that game. So I think that's going to be a really big confidence builder for LSU going into their SEC play, because that was a good opponent they played, and their athletes were athletes. They looked like good, fast athletes out there against Texas A&M. So.
Cool. That's I thought I had something else for college, but so Khabib, is that how you say it? Keeps his title?
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, third round. So he played his strategy. So he's a grappler. He doesn't want to stand up and fight with you. He's not trying to throw a lot of punches with you. He's a grappler. He's a wrestler. He gets you on the ground. He works you. He gets the chokes, all that stuff. And that's what happened. So in the third round, he got a rear naked choke, and made the guy tap. And so that's what he did. He didn't let the guy into him. He basically played defense until he could grab the guy and kind of take him down to the ground in defense, and just kind of wore him out grappling, and waited and picked his spots. And so it was basically a wrestling match. Like, it was a well executed judo wrestling match is what he did, and ended up getting position to get the guy to tap out. So yeah, he's a champ.
I don't follow a lot of UFC. Is this in a certain weight division? Do they have weight divisions?
Yeah,
I
think it was a lightweight championship.
Lightweight?
It was the lightweight championship. Yeah. Which I can't remember. I think lightweight's like 135, 138, something like that. It's lightweight. So yeah, it's pretty well put together, proportioned dudes. They don't weigh a lot, but they just got that kind of stacked on long muscle that you can have at that frame. So for wrestling, it's really, because they're kind of wiry but strong at the same time, so they can really get into those holds really well. They don't have all the bulk that they have to use, to try to get some sort of, wrestling move or grappling move.
Right.
They don't have all that weight to play with, so they can really get in there and get things done pretty quick if they know what they're doing.
So I watched a little bit of this. Actually, I've watched highlights of the U.S. Open, and saw the highlights of the women's final. I'll go ahead and tell about it, the finals, and I think I have another little tidbit I was gonna look. I'll look it up while you're talking about Serena and Bianca.
Yeah, so Bianca Andreescu, she's a 19-year-old Canadian, and she won. She won in her debut final, and she beat Serena. I got to see some of this match, and Serena looked pretty tired. She just did. I think I was in probably looking at the start of the second set. I remember watching then, and she just, you could just tell that she was getting a little bit more tired than the 19-year-old girl. So, it was, for her to get the final, it was still great, and it was still great to watch her. It's always great to watch her in the final, and I hope she's able to get into many more, next year as she continues, if she continues. But, me and my wife were talking about it, and if this was her last year, I don't think she would have anything to be ashamed of or walk away from. Or, she made a final. She's still obviously one of the best in the world, but you could just tell it was tolling. Like, it looked tolling on her watching it. Like, you could tell, like, she was having to put in a lot of effort, to try to get the results she wanted. So, yeah, it was a good match. It was a good match for that young girl, though. In my opinion, she dominated her pretty much that whole match.
Yeah, Serena, the last few years, has been chasing, and I was looking it up. I couldn't find the exact stat I was looking for. I guess they have too many. I thought it was majors, but I thought she had like 43 titles of some sort, and she was chasing number 44, which would have tied her for the most. And so,
yeah,
she's made the finals like the last 3 years and hasn't won. And so she's been chasing that. She has that I think I could see that she probably had a lot of motivation to want to try and win that, and just to kind of be at least tied. She's got all kinds of records and whatnot. She's a phenomenal player. But yeah, no, it's always fun to watch her and her sister play. But it's always also nice to see some other names in there that I honestly I've never heard of. Bianca Andreescu.
There's a good handful of really young female tennis players that they'll take it right over. Like, there's some really prime. There's some really good women's players that I think will have rivalries for like decades. Kind of like, some will come out where we're gonna have those Nadal, Federer type people, but this generation, I think, through the women's tennis, I think there's going to be some really good rivalries for a long time.
Yeah, like and transition. Nadal, of course, won. This guy, it just seems like his name, either him or Federer, right? It's only one of two people that play tennis. They just have those two show up and play. But I don't know. It's
Well, that guy that he played, Medvedev, Daniil Medvedev, that guy's a character, man. He was funny. If you look throughout the tournament, like I guess the crowd was kind of getting on him, and after he won, like I don't know, one of his matches that was a few before he got to the final, he like thanked the crowd with the microphone and was like basically thanking them for their booze and stuff. He was like, "You motivated me so much, and that's just going to make me play harder to win for you. So thank you." And like he was a character, so that guy's kind of a guy to watch. Maybe he'll be the new John McEnroe. I don't know, but he
oh
was
no
pretty
goodness.
funny. But I guess after the final, like everyone cheered for him, and it was all good. And he thanked the crowd for his week there, and it was genuine. It was honest. He wasn't being jokey, and I guess the crowd warmed up to him as the tournament ended, I guess. So that's good for him.
Oh, that's awesome. You need it. All sports need some sort of character.
Yeah.
It just gets bland. So some WNBA Mystics are on top to going into the playoffs.
Oh yeah, look at last week's show. I said they'd clinch on Friday, and they did. And so now the playoffs actually first round is starting right now. It's on right now. So this is the first round. There's 2 games tonight. So they're going right now. I can't remember what channel they're on. I think they're on ESPN2. Most of them are on ESPN2. But there's 2 games tonight, and then there's more games on Sunday. So yeah, WNBA, and it finished this weekend. And I was talking about what I was wanting to watch, Jonquel Jones of the Suns. So she was the one in that race to be the rebound champ and the block shots champ. She managed to keep her rebounds per game championship by 0.7 rebounds. She won it by. She was ahead in blocks by 0.1 block. So she ended tied with Brittany Griner from Phoenix, and Brittany Griner is actually the women's leading scorer this year in points per game. So she tied for points per game and blocks, and Jonquel Jones had rebounds and tied for blocks. So they both each were the top of 2 major categories, statistical categories, and in the regular season. And then 2 of the Seattle Storm girls. So let me get their names. I didn't write them down. But the 2 guards. So both of their guards were like first and second for steals per game. And one beat the other by like 0.3 or something. So they both topped. But it was like the last game, whoever got more steals than the other would have probably won it, So that was kind of funny stat to see.
I wonder if in a game that and you play towards that, it's like, oh, I'm gonna get more steals. I gotta get some steals.
Especially against a teammate. Like,
Yeah.
She's guarding someone, you go over and double team, try to steal the ball from the person she's guarding.
Sorry,
like,
Betty.
I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna get this, man. It's in my contract. I get a bonus. And we don't get paid shit.
So so maybe we should be sending the WNBA teams to represent the men's national team.
Yeah, that got over this morning. Donovan Mitchell, bless his heart, in the third quarter tried to do everything for us offensively, and he did pretty much. I think he had 14 in the third quarter by himself. But we lost by 10, and we scored 79 points. So we lost 79-89. Like I said, Mitchell did pretty well. Our other guards didn't look that great. I mean, albeit France has a lot of NBA players on their team. Pretty good NBA players. Nicholas Batum, he's a good veteran. Evan Fournier, he's a good veteran. Gobert from Utah, Rudy Gobert, center. I mean, he's an all-star. He's an all-star caliber player. So they have a lot of talent there, but we didn't hit shots. We missed a lot of shots. We had to foul. We had no answer for Rudy Gobert's height. I mean, we have Brooke Lopez, who's not really a dominant big defensive player, and a lot of time he doesn't rebound because he's out the 3-point line at 7 feet tall. When you watch him. And so Rudy Gobert, I mean, I think they had 10 more rebounds at least than us at halftime. and
halftime.
they were fouling him. They put him at the free throw line like 10 times in the first half because they couldn't match up with his height and basically how big he was. So we had no presence inside that could handle some of these bigger, players on these other FIBA teams. But I mean, only score 79 and the 3-point line's closer. And, I know it's not the best of our best, but we have all-stars on this team. We have really good players on this team still. So I don't know. I guess they just couldn't gel. They just couldn't hit enough shots. Because if you're holding the team to 89, any U.S. team that holds a team to 89 should win.
Should win the game.
Because any U.S. team should score about 100 points, like every game.
Yeah.
From where the 3-point line is and everything, and our athleticism, and we should be able to score 100.
So they drop down then to loser bracket, have to fight their way up.
Oh, there's no fight their way up. It's
done?
That's one and done. Yeah.
Oh.
So basically, the best they could get is like 5th place. So the only positive from this whole FIBA World Cup was that over the weekend they did punch their ticket into the Olympics for 2022. So, I mean, they qualified. So now they take this as a learning lesson, figure out who's actually going to stay on this team to go to the Olympics. And now you have a couple years to really kind of get together and work and communicate on what you want to do and put a plan together so these guys can, I don't know, hopefully look like the players they should look like against these teams and be a little bit, guess what? Basketball is actually a game with strategy and plays, and you have coaches for a reason. Like, the world isn't James Harden traveling and taking 3 hop steps and hitting NBA fadeaways from 25 feet. The rest of the world doesn't play that way. They play basketball. They play how you learn how to play basketball when you're 15 years old, and you learn all the fundamentals, and then you get really good at those, and you can't be stopped, really, So they play legit basketball. They have strategies. They have their plays. It's not just pick and roll and isolation basketball. So our team needs to figure out how to deal with that and play actual basketball again, and not just have a bunch of ISO one-on-one players playing together on the court that don't know where the other one wants to be to get their shot off because they don't know what they're supposed to be running,
Yeah. So that's done. And again, yeah, hopefully in a couple of years, they actually put a team that I'm sure they will. They'll put a team together that can actually compete in the Olympics. And that's because that's just what we do, I suppose. But
they will.
So on to football, a lot going on in week 1. So we have what do you like, what you don't like. I'm going to tell you what I don't like. I did not like the NFL's opening game of 100 years with, Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. That was about like watching a preseason game. And what really sucked for me is that, unfortunately, in our league, the best quarterback that I could pick at the time was Mitch Trubisky, and he got me like 9 or 11 points or some crap like that. That I did not like. But there was a lot of Monday night's game. I really the Houston game was just St. Louis. I'm not St. Louis, but New Orleans.
Yeah,
that was a really good game. And that was entertaining football as well. I mean, it was, two teams that's like, oh, I need something. They get something. And, Houston 2 plays and a touchdown, and, towards the end of the game. And I thought, it's over. And I was in Sacramento and sitting at a bar cafe, eating some of the hottest wings I've ever had, by the way. Okay.
Hotter than my house.
Side note. Yes. This was Flaming Cafe Grill, I think is the name of the restaurant. And it was right by my hotel. And they had wings on happy hour. So I'm like, well, how many wings you get? Oh, anyway, pound. Okay, cool. I'll take them. And how hot's your hottest? Oh, it's hot. Okay, I'll take it. And but it was a green sauce. It wasn't anything like a tip. It was like salsa almost. But I mean, the wings were wet, but it was more of a chunky green, whatever coating on them. That heat got in your mouth and it stayed with you for a long time. So, unfortunately I had to drink a lot of beer to, fortunately I had to drink a lot of beer to kind of keep that down. But I really enjoyed watching that Houston game because I thought Houston had it at the end and that 58-yard kick by the Saints. That was a heartbreaker. I think I actually wanted Houston to win that game. I didn't really care, but I think I really wanted Houston to win that game. So, so what did you like and not like for week 1?
I like that I won money. I won money because my ticket is now good for my 49er bet that I made in June to win their pick'em game. So that was good. I was happy about that. So yeah, as a fan, that was good. My team won week 1 so on the road. So that's always good. I thought what was really good, my guys, I thought they were good. Lamar Jackson, he was obviously really good. He had 5 touchdowns. And then old man Jackson, 250-plus yard touchdowns, and they only won by 5 points. So guess what? They needed both of them, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, Deshaun Jackson, for me, I like that. I like seeing him getting behind the defense still and catching bombs. So, yeah, that's what I liked.
What's funny is
what I didn't like so much, definitely the off game, Packers and Bears. And then I'd have to say the other thing I didn't like was the Patriots blowing out the Steelers just because it was like, oh, geez, they're still the Patriots again this year. Like, really? Like, could they just not be the Patriots for a minute? Nope.
Yeah.
They're the Patriots. And they're just going to lock this season down in the first half of their first game and be like, yep, we're still the best. If you need to see what the champs look like, week 1, first half, it's this. We're the champs. Like, so I liked it and I didn't like it.
What stands out more, that the Patriots are that good or that the Pittsburgh Steelers are now that bad? I mean,
I think that they're that good.
Really?
I think they're that good just because Mike Tomlin's been there for a long time. He should have a game plan ready for a week 1. It's not like he's a new head coach. He's not just figuring this out for the first time. He's had season 1, week 1 games for a decade. But the guy across from him just does it way better than anyone that's ever done it. Like, so they're ready. Like, as a staff, New England's ready from the jump faster than any other team's ready. That's how they're built. They have smarter people. They just do. They figure it out. Whatever their method is, they just figure it out every year. How to outcoach you. Basically, their talent's not any more supreme than yours. They just win all the time.
Yeah.
They have a better plan.
I think what's more concerning to me, because I am not a Patriots fan. Sorry, Steve Devine. I am just not a Patriots fan. From the day they benched Drew Bledsoe for Tom Brady, even though that was a smart move, I just did not like the Patriots from that day because, Drew Bledsoe and I went to the same high school, and of course he was younger than I am. And by a few years, his dad was my English teacher. And, I just don't like him. I just don't like the arrogance. And, but I think what concerns me more is that, this week they'll have Antonio Brown, and it's just going to open things up more. It's just going to be harder for teams. You got Gronk now talking about coming out of retirement. So I don't know that he actually will. But I just want them to fall flat on their face, but it's not going to happen. It's just, as an emotional fan of the game, you want to see a team fall flat on their face. It's the New England Patriots. They just won't do it. They're like zombies. They keep coming back. So who is your Who did you like? Who was your one standout for the week? Who was your MVP?
My MVP is Deshaun Jackson. Anytime you can get 2 50-yard plus touchdowns and your team wins by 5, that you can say I made big plays. Like, I make big plays. I mean, that's kind of what he's known for. Like, he makes big plays, and yep, he did. Week 1, veteran receiver, 250-plus yard touchdowns with a quarterback that hasn't even played for a while. So yeah, I give it to Deshaun Jackson for getting those big plays.
Yeah, I should as well. Except he was, we'll get to it. I remember because we were drafting. You're like, oh, you always liked Deshaun Jackson. You should pick him up.
Yeah,
And
should.
I did, and I put him on my bench.
Yeah,
and that cost me a
win.
I'm
sure a lot of people.
Cost me 2 wins.
I bet there's a bunch of people that had Lamar Jackson on their bench too, and he had 5 touchdown passes. He had like 70 fantasy points. I'm sure a bunch of people had him on their bench. I mean, you don't know when this young quarterback's going to come out on opening day and destroy another team like that. It was crazy.
Yeah, I'd like to pick him as my MVP, but I this week, oh gosh, it sounds like such a homer. I'm actually going to take somebody that I thought was not even going to be a starting quarterback probably past week 3. The reports was that he wasn't really showing a lot in camp or preseason. They brought in Tannehill, I think it was, is a backup, thinking he's going to be the starter, and he comes out game 1, has a 133.3 QB rating, and literally destroys a team that everyone put in the Super Bowl this year, the Cleveland Browns, and that's Marcus Mariota. And
he did play well.
He showed up and needed a game like that. Obviously, Derrick Henry had a big game, and, a nice run in there, and but he needed to come out, and I still have a lot of faith in him. I immediately, like a total homer, because I'm gonna tell you, the last 2 seasons I've had Marcus Mariota in my on every fantasy team. Not that he started. 2 years ago he did, and he did well for me, but he's at least been on my bench this year. Sorry, Marcus, I couldn't even justify putting him on the bench, and I believed all the hype, all the stories. Monday, in our league, I claimed him. I think Monday, and I think it's Sunday night, and so I had him available today, and so he's. I put him in for Mitch Trubisky because I can't be any worse.
Mitchell's going to Denver, so that might be a good play.
Yeah,
Denver's a hard place to play with the altitude and the fans and the defensive coordinator that's now your head coach that used to be the defensive coordinator of the team you're playing. Yeah, watch that game. That's going to be an interesting watch.
And I think Denver can take a little bit of the playbook of the Packers, who said basically we just wanted to make Trubisky play quarterback. That was our game plan, was to make him play quarterback, and he didn't do that very well. So it's gonna be a little bit tough. I mean, in our league. Speaking of, why don't we take a quick look at that? It's not going to be very nice. So this is your fantasy league, Pigskin House Divided, and the standings after week 1. I'm right there at the top.
I lost.
I
lost by 31 points. I'm last. I'm number 10.
Yeah, and look at me.
The least amount of points. Yeah, I scored the least amount. You even beat me by 11.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, my guys didn't show up. My backs didn't show up.
And I didn't lose. I mean, in the end, I lost by 10. But Monday, it was going back and forth. I was going to win. I was going to lose. I was going to win. I was going to lose. And then I had Denver's defense against Oakland, and I didn't think that game was going to end up like that. So that's what lost me this week was Denver's defense. But
I just couldn't score points. My people just weren't consistent. I had like a running back that had 2.5. I had a receiver that had like 1.8. Like my starters just didn't even get double digits. I mean, your starters gotta each, you can't have any under tens
no.
for your receivers and running backs and expect to win a week.
Well,
So
yeah,
I
and
had at least 2 or 3 of those guys that didn't even score 10. So I was her player. So I played against Chev's champions. She scored 107 points, the third most. But when I looked at her lineup, I was like, she might have had one person that had like 22 points that was a running back or a receiver or something. But really, all her people just kind of 10, 12, 11, 10. She was just consistent. Like her whole team scored okay. She didn't have any twos. She didn't have any fours.
yeah, I was trying to Dylan or Pandas, who's at the top, who's winning our league.
You scored twice as many points as I did.
Yeah, more
You
than.
too. Twice as many, more than twice as many in
Yeah,
one game. That's
yeah.
crazy.
Phillip Rivers, almost 35 points. Juju Smith, good.
If
Godwin,
he would have if he
Matt,
would have
30
played in
points.
like one of those daily fantasy things for money, he probably could have been up there as a high score.
Yeah,
Because that's a ton of points. Close to like anywhere near 200 is crazy in our league.
yeah. And
Like,
we had
like
Matt
usually if you
McCaffrey.
score 120, you're going to win 110 in our league. You're going to win with 100 points.
Yeah, he got 15 out of his kicker, 13 out of his. I mean,
Jeez.
his worst player for the week was Juju Smith, who had 7.8 points. And
Got
but
some big
yeah,
ones though.
yeah, he had some big ones. I got a tough matchup this week. I'm already projected to lose, I think.
Oh, me
And
too. Yeah,
it's
I'm
already
projected to lose.
it's tough.
Yep, I'm already scrapping my whole draft. Week 2.
Well, what's
Looking
funny
for
is
trades. Already looking for trades.
what's funny is that my victory was sitting on my bench. We already talked about it. I have Deshaun Watson
Oh
sitting
yeah.
on my bench in at least 2 of my 3 fantasy leagues. At least 2 of the 3. I have Alshon Jeffries in 2 of my 3 fantasy leagues. I had Sammy Watkins sitting on the bench. And which was me. That's just a blunder on my part. But so I'm already making those moves. So hopefully, what's funny is that, Deshaun Watson, right, gets 35 points. And I think this week he's projected 9, hopefully. Yeah, we'll see. That's fantasy football. Yeah. So we need to work our way up to the top.
It's early.
So
Good thing it's early.
let's look forward to some football this week. It was funny is that before I got your draft for tonight's show, I had gone through and picked up some like 5 games, and you picked
Yeah.
all, but you picked. I only picked one of what you had picked in the
Oh really?
as the 5
That's
teams
interesting.
yeah. So I totally picked
Let the see lie. Yeah.
and so I went with yours. I changed them up. So let's go ahead and do our picks for this week. First one, Chargers are giving up 5 at the Lions this week.
2.5.
Yeah. Did I say something
2.5.
different?
5.
No. Yeah, it's number 3. So everything's double now.
Number 1. Yeah.
So, Lions came out in a tie last week. Is this really? I think the Lions should probably be more. Just with how well Mac and Rivers did last week, but I mean, this is an easy one, right?
I say the Chargers. I take this Chargers easy to win by at least a field goal over the Lions. I mean, Lions tied the Cardinals, who might be one of the worst teams in the league with a rookie quarterback. And you beat them. Like the Lions beat them by like 18 points or 14 points or something last year. So obviously they didn't get better unless the Cardinals just got way better. But I don't know. I think the Chargers are a pretty good team this year. And you can see they don't miss Melvin Gordon at all.
Yeah.
They're just fine without him. That Eckler guy kicked ass. So, yeah, I think the Chargers easily cover this 2.5.
I think so too. It's just hard. It's too hard to bet against that. How bad are the Lions? And I'm an Arizona fan. I'm a Cardinals fan, and but I would say that if it were game 2 of the season, the Cardinals beat the Lions. The rookie quarterback, fourth quarter, he came alive, and they were moving. And I think that perhaps they were maybe even coaching, play calling was maybe conservative. Let's keep it easy. Let's keep it simple. And they made a comeback. The rookie quarterback showed something, and they have a lot of talent on that team. I got David Johnson. He scored me a lot of points. I think that if it were week 2, the Cardinals beat the Lions. So I don't think the Cardinals are that bad. I think they'll get better. I think they're low, but I think they'll get better. But yeah, it's an easy one. The Chargers will probably win this by more than 10. That's my wishful thinking, I think there. I'm surprised. This is a tough one. This should almost just be a pick 'em. Bears laying 2.5 at the Broncos. They're favored in the Mile High City. And of course Dylan just popped in to remind us that he's on top.
Yeah, he is. Hey, you can say that he is.
Yeah, it's week 1. So anyway,
3 weeks.
But yeah. So what are your thoughts on this?
I just put this game on here because we have the Bears going to play in Denver with Vic Fangio, their defensive coordinator from last year, now the head coach of the Broncos. They both lost games that we thought they should win. We both lost that pick last week as games we were picking, the Bears and the Broncos. Mm-hmm. So they're both, I think, kind of embarrassed from their performance on week 1, especially on offense, both of them. So I really think this is going to be like, okay, this is a game, let's get back on track. Like right off the start of the season, we need this win to kind of get us back on track. It's going to be some familiar faces with the coaching, so that'll be interesting to watch, I think. Like I said, so yeah, in this one, man, I want to take the Broncos at home to beat the Bears, even though I'm a Bears fan. What I saw out of Mitch Trubisky does not give me confidence. He can go on the road to Denver in the high altitude with that great fan base and pass rushers like Von Miller and Chubb, and a defensive coordinator that watched him at practice since he's been in the NFL every day and knows every weakness he has and every lineman that has a weakness, for his defense to shut him down even more. So I'm going to take the Broncos just basically based on their coaching and where the game's at.
I'm gonna go the other way. I think that.
And I hope you're right. I'm a Bears fan, like I said.
Yeah, I think the Bears got slapped in the face this week because I'll tell you what, the Packers didn't beat them. Aaron Rodgers didn't beat them. That was just an ugly, boring game of football, and things happened, and somebody had to win, and it just happened to be Green Bay. Green Bay was not a phenomenal team. Aaron Rodgers threw some balls up that just happened to have been caught. Great. That's what happens. That's what happens in football. You throw the ball up, you hope for the best, and somebody makes a play. But I think the Bears come back. I think Trubisky, I think they're going to plan better. Broncos, while I have a couple of the running backs on my team, I don't think either one of them are starting yet, Lindsey or Freeman. Maybe Lindsey, but on one of my teams, but I think the Bears cover a field goal. I think the Bears cover.
I would like that.
I'm a little shocked at this one that it's so low, but also I expected the Eagles to probably do a lot better last week.
I mean, after how Atlanta played against Minnesota and Minnesota basically just handling them the whole game, you know, that Eagles game, the Washington was leading most of that first half. I mean, Washington was playing much better than they were the first half, and then the Eagles turned it on in the second half. But so I don't know if we saw really what we're going to see in this game. This one's like kind of a hard one to pick because Atlanta has all the talent and it's there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you never know when they're going to put it together. They're so inconsistent. They could be any team in the league and lose to any team in the league. It's just weird. They're just not consistent. So I think maybe for that reason, I'll pick the Eagles on the road. Just because Deshaun Jackson did have those big plays. Those aren't going to happen every game. But now you got to think about it if you're Atlanta's defense, and that opens up everything else underneath, like Zach Ertz and Jeffrey and the run game. And so I just think I give the Eagles enough advantage that they'll win by a field goal or something. I think they'll win by 1.5.
Yeah, I have to go with the Eagles on this one too. 1.5. Falcons didn't show anything last week. I mean, they should have shown at least some offense against Minnesota. Some.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a shootout team, and they didn't do anything last week. So that concerns me about Atlanta. Matt Ryan and the talent they have there. That maybe they may change the line that is affecting Ryan's time in the pocket, but that's I'll take the Eagles at 1.5. So Saints and Rams. Rams are favored by 2.5 here in LA for this game. Man, I'm gonna jump on this one first. I don't think the Rams showed me enough last week. They won, but I don't think it was impressive. Todd Gurley didn't do much. I think everyone was serviceable. They won the game like a championship team should win a game, but Saints are a team that we could see what they did, Monday night. When they need something, they can get something. And this is a tough one for me, but I'm still going to be a homer, and I'll take the Rams 2.5.
So then I'm going the other way. I'm going to go the other way, and I'm going to take the Saints. Basically because I think the quality of win that the Saints got this week was a higher quality of win than what the Rams got against Carolina. I think
you're right.
The level of football Houston was playing was a better level than what Carolina was playing. But with that said, I think the Saints, I put this one on because this is the NFC Championship game last year with the big no call, with the whole reason that there's a new rule change this year.
Mm-hmm.
So every Saint fan is going to be looking at every single call in this game with a fine-tooth comb.
Right.
And I just think, like you said, you kind of said it. When the Saints need to get something, they can. And I don't think the Rams maybe are as good in their secondary this year.
Mm-hmm.
They got a lot. The Saints have a lot of weapons, and they added Jared Cook, who he got balls thrown to him right away in the first half of that game. So he's already plugged in. So I just think with Kamara and Thomas and Ginn gets open, he helped them get down the field at the end of the game. And Breeze is a veteran quarterback. He knows exactly what he's doing, where he's going. He knows where everyone's going to be. I just give the Saints the edge on this game at the start of the season, even though they're on the road.
So now on to the biggest spread of the week.
That's why it's on here.
This is college spread. I mean, should you have a spread this big in the NFL?
You would hope not. You would hope a spread would never be more than like 10 in the NFL. 13 would be big. 2 touchdowns. These guys are professionals. Like, it should come within 10 points almost every game.
and there was a 10-point. No, there wasn't. Jacksonville at Houston was 9. But yeah, I thought there was a 10 in there as well this week, but there's not. Yeah, but 19 points. If I was the Dolphins waking up and going online or whatever or reading the paper and seeing the Vegas spread on our game this weekend, 19 points, I might have just accidentally pulled a hamstring getting out of bed. I might be out this week because that's really what's going to happen. Patriots are going to cover that. I'll pick the Patriots. Sorry. You got Antonio Brown starting. Man. I'm taking it. I'm risking. I'm taking it.
Is he or is he going to be in court from the news that came out this morning?
Oh, wait a minute. What was that?
You didn't hear about any news today. You didn't? You didn't hear about Antonio Brown's newest thing today?
No, I've been working since 4:30 a.m. I stopped for lunch and then I did show prep. I literally.
Oh, so let me fill you in.
Great.
Okay, so breaking news. AB has a former athletic trainer in his home state, Florida. She has filed 3 sexual assault charges against him from altercations that happened in 2017 and 18, 3 separate episodes. So he has denied it. He said he's going to do everything to countersue for slander because it's not true. Something came out where they said they had they did have some sort of relationship that was consensual in the past, but now but she can't go to court for a little while because she's getting married. So that kind of seemed weird that you would bring this out now. I guess go into your new marriage with no webs in the closet. I don't know. But yeah, so no, that came out this morning. So we'll see if he plays or if he's put it on the NFL commissioner's exempt list until he gets this figured out.
No, and I mean,
so
if they put him,
kick him while it's down for that guy. I don't even know. This guy is a dumpster fire to be around right now.
He is, but I'm still gonna take 19 because you know what? The Dolphins suck this week, and it's like Patriots against a high school team, college team.
And who plays Fitzpatrick or Rosen? They put both of them in this week because they're getting blown out by Baltimore so bad. Is Baltimore better than New England? Probably not. So it's hard not to take it, even though it's so high.
But you say you're not?
I don't want to, but geez Louise, how terrible can you be? Ship the team somewhere else if you're going to lose by 20. Let another city have a crack at having an NFL team. If people think you're going to lose by 20.
I'd want to play
in a franchise anymore.
And I'd want to play in Miami. I'd want to play in Florida.
Miami. I'm taking Miami.
Oh, this could set us apart after week 2 a little bit.
They're only going to lose by 17. They're going to lose by 17. Miami's going to cover it. Only lose by 17. That's my pick.
All right, so those are our official picks for the week. But I got to tell you, I picked the ones that I had picked was Thursday's Tampa Bay at Carolina. Carolina is favored by 7. And I don't know who I'd pick in that game, but I also picked. I think I picked San Francisco at Cincinnati. Cincinnati's favored by 2, and I was going to go ahead and take San Francisco on that. And then I had Cleveland at the Jets. Cleveland's favored by 2.5, and I was going to take the Jets.
I'll take Cleveland on that one.
Yeah,
I think they're embarrassed from last week, and they're going to do better.
Yeah,
they're embarrassed.
It's not official. So just to recap, so last week our 5-game picks review. I'm going to let you read this because you probably have a better understanding of what you wrote than I did. So I think
We went 2-3
Oh, is that it?
because on the spreads,
Uh,
we both lost the Bears on the Packer game. We both lost the Broncos on the Oakland game. And then the only game we had different was Washington beat the spread against Philly. So they didn't win, but they beat the spread. So
And that
that's
was
where I got you. And then we both won the other two pick'ems.
I think that was the 10-point spread last week. I think that was the big spread last week, wasn't it? Eagle,
Yeah, and they
Philadelphia,
only won
Washington.
by 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they only
Damn
won by
the
5.
Philadelphia.
And then we got the Arizona one because they tied. So Detroit was -2.5, and Arizona tied. So we got that one. And then we both picked the Niners, so we got that pick 'em.
So, all right, moving on from football to this week's Play It Through. I'm going to say segment of the week, and you know, it's just because it's really it's 9/11, and you know, and you brought I got to be honest, what you had sent me, I haven't seen.
Oh, really?
Or
your wife
I haven't
probably
seen
has copies or something.
Yeah, I haven't seen in forever, and so today, of course, there isn't a person, not a soul in the United States that doesn't know what today is, you know, or what today represents, and you know, it's just 9/11 will live with us forever. It'll never be forgotten. It should never be forgotten, and for so many different reasons. However you feel about it, think about it. It should just never be forgotten. And but coming out of that, and I'm going to let you actually talk about that because you put this stuff together, and I'm not going to lie, I had totally forgot when we had went to this game. I mean, what the timing of what we did after 9/11. And so I'm actually going to let you talk about it.
Yeah. So this week for the Play It Through, I just wanted to highlight 9/11 and, you know, just kind of talk about the world of sports and how these players play it through all these tragedies, whether it's, you know, a local tragedy near the cities or in the states that they play for, or they're locked into the community. And then it means a lot to those communities when it comes game time to all huddle around and be together and support something and be a part of something. It can kind of help you get your mind off of some of the bigger worldly important things to just let you enjoy your life a little bit. And so I remember when 9/11 happened, Chuck and I, we lived in Northern California, and I was able to purchase Chuck and his wife and my father tickets to go to this game. I was a single young guy, just living in an apartment, so I had a good little bankroll going of savings, and so I was able to purchase those tickets, and it was one of my favorite things I've ever been able to do with my friends or family in my life. And we went to the September 23rd, 2001 game at Candlestick Park. And they were playing against Chuck was a big St. Louis Ram fan at the time, and Kurt Warner, and so there he was in the crowd with his Kurt Warner jersey on. And sorry to say, they did win that game. The Rams won 30-26.
Of course,
I remember Marshall Faulk didn't have any touchdowns, but Marshall Faulk touched the ball like 90 times for like 3,000 yards. He just never got in the end zone. They'd give it to him 30 times. He'd go down the field and they'd throw a 15-yard pass to Azakeem or, you know, Torrey Holt or something, and someone else would score it. But he was the workhorse all day. So this was before the game. This picture, that was where we were sitting, and you know, they had a president make an announcement at the start of the game. They had a flag that I think covered at least 80 yards of the field that were held by fire department, local sheriff's offices, police department. When you see out there is a group of those men and women that work in the fire department or as police officers. And so they were all represented well that day. And it was just, you know, it was a day that I'll always remember being there on that day. I remember they were giving away U.S. flags on sticks when you walked into the stadium, and most people had them, you know, stuck in their shirt or stuck in their hat or something and had them on. And it's just, you know, you only through usually adversity or maybe during the Olympics do you really feel like the guy next to you, like, hey, my fellow American, I mean, I don't know how many of us feel that on a daily basis, just walking around, living our lives. But this was definitely a moment I remember thinking like, yeah, I do come from somewhere and I need to be, I should be proud of it. And I'm proud of the men and women that are here and what those people did to help those in the World Trade Center, all the people in the aftermath that volunteered their time, to the families of those that were lost of that tragic day. And, it was a lot. I mean, it affected Chuck and I and our professional careers a lot for what we did at the time. It was definitely one of those places where, a handful of things in my life worldly that I remember where I was and what I was doing, one of those events, like when the Challenger exploded or when Reagan got shot or, when, this happened. Like I remember where I was, what I was doing, exactly that I can put myself back in that period of time. So I just wanted to, pay a tribute to all those men and women that, worked through this. And then just saying a thank you because, sports is entertainment, but entertainment's done by real people, and even, I'm sure a lot of them, the teams in, New York and we got the Giants, the Jets, the Bills, there's several teams there that have people they knew in those buildings, so for them to come out and be able to do their job just 2 weeks after this, when I'm sure they knew people, Paul Tagliabue did, the commissioner of the NFL, one of his close friends' wives died in that, and he had to figure out how to stop the week and he had all this work to do to entertain all of us when his best friend had just lost his life. Like, so I think when we get on these people and maybe we don't talk so highly about people in sports, or players doing this and that, we got to remember they're people, and they have relationships just like we have relationships and things outside of their profession. And, but, so I just wanted to shine a light on that and make a remembrance to this day because, I definitely remember it, and all those that do play it through when tragedies like this strike in their life and those around them, and then they still have to go out there and they got to perform. They got to do their job. These athletes, not just for tragedies, but they miss holidays, they miss kids' birthdays, they miss a lot of stuff to entertain us. And do they get paid really well? Yes, they do. That's the trade-off, right? They work a little bit in their life so they never have to work again, right? But they miss a lot of stuff. But on days like this, it was really cool to be at that game, and I really felt a part of something. And it was a special moment to be around like-minded people that all, wanted to represent goodness and something being our country and be proud of something together, as strangers not knowing each other, to be proud together about something was pretty cool. So I just wanted to highlight that today, and I hope that Chuck's right. It's always remembered. It always should be remembered. It was one of the most major thing that's happened in our lifetime. So
I don't really have much to add to that. You covered it. But I have to say that like I mentioned before that I totally forgot that we did that just so shortly afterwards. And one of the first NFL games after 9/11. Was it the first NFL weekend?
Yeah, it was the first week back.
Yeah.
They skipped a week and then they did that week.
Right. And so be able to do that, and and just again, I showed up one of the pictures in there was the stadium there at Candlestick, and it looked like there wasn't an empty seat in the place. And
it was packed.
Yeah. And I mean, part of it was because the Rams were in town, but it's a joke.
Yeah.
Because the Rams were good at that time. It was I think part of it, I look back, I was thinking about that today once I got the pictures, when that you sent me for the show tonight. I'm like, gosh, when was this? I don't remember. And then you put it as a part of the 9/11 memoriam. And I got to think, oh my gosh, and I think part of it was just what we were dealing with on a day-to-day basis. Even though we weren't directly involved in what happened in New York, or DC, Philadelphia, where the plane went down.
Yeah.
We were dealing with it, as you said, in our work life, and
Oh yeah.
because
Very much.
there was, I mean, nobody knows what we were doing at the time, but I mean, we had employees that were directly affected by this, and I remember, for so long afterwards, so we were it impacted our lives and the lives of the employees that we supported at the time directly. And so I just actually thank you for bringing that out, and and just showing a different light, because regardless of what happened, we went out, we took care of business, and life has to move forward. And sports is one of those escapes. It's not the end all be all to our life. And it shouldn't be how we live our life, but it's one of those escapes. And because of the freedoms we have here in the United States, we can do that. And so, and we got to show that, and to show the world that regardless of what you think you can try to do to us, we're going to overcome, we're going to persevere, and we're going to play through it. So, good job, Dave. Hey, so okay, switch. So Stan Roberts, I hope you're still watching. So he said, he actually posted this before we were finished with our other. He said, take 25 points. It's going to be a bloodbath. Do you know what game he's talking about?
Well, if he's not talking about his Cowboys, I'm sure he's talking about the Patriots. I think he's thinking the Patriots will. He'd even take 25 on Miami.
Okay,
so
that's good. So Stan, you're more on my side, because Dave's only taken 20 or 17. But
go Dolphins.
But let's help. Stan's is still out there. So Dallas is 5-point favorites at Washington.
Ooh.
So just let me ask you this. So it's 5.5 points. Eagles beat Washington by 5. Who's the better? Let me ask you this before you pick it. Who's the better team, Philadelphia or Dallas?
Dallas.
Whatever.
I don't want to say it, but they are, and I would take them. I'll take them. What is it? I think Dallas wins by 10.
Dallas is favored by 5.5 at Washington.
Yeah, I think they get that. Yeah, I take Dallas.
Yeah, I would probably do the same thing. To be honest, I don't want to. I know, hey, we love you. Hey, we love all you fans, Stan. I don't want Dallas. Dallas is number 2 on my list. I got Patriots that, can fall flat on their face, and then Dallas is second. But you know what? Dallas, I have no reason for them to fall. So good on them. And they're still an exciting team to watch, and they took care of whatever is in their house, and they had a good game last week. So, so this week, what to watch? I'm gonna introduce something a little bit different this week, a different sport.
Okay.
Here in my family, we have for years have watched and attended a certain style of racing that we have always enjoyed watching. And that's not it. Hang on, I gotta scroll to the right video. And that is Formula Drift Racing. And this week they're in Texas. And I actually, I don't know what I did with the clip. That wasn't the clip I was pulling up, but that's Frederick Osbo. And he is right now in his Toyota IM. He is leading the points narrowly over James Dean. This clip is from Long Beach. I'm just going to scroll ahead here a little bit. This was a good run against Peter Wysick and Frederick Osbo leading, and Peter, he's all over it. So Peter there is a teammate of James Dean, who is in second place, narrowly in second place. And so Frederick Osbo and James Dean are leading the standings, but Frederick just has a slight lead. And so Texas, this weekend, and then next month they come to the House of Drift here in, or I say here, but over here in by us here in Irwindale, and what's called the House of Drift, and I think is literally the most exciting drift track in that they have, and on the circuit they drift throughout the nation. And so highlights here, I just pulled up highlights of Frederick Osbo, because right now I know my son is a Frederick Osbo, the Norwegian Hammer. What a cool name. I want a name like that, the Norwegian Hammer. That is his name. This guy is like, he hits every clipping point, every transition. He's drifting door to door. He's just perfect. He hits everything perfectly every time. And but James Dean, who is in second place just behind him, has won the last 2 championships in a row. And to show how dominant he is, he used to drift. He left drift racing, came back, and as soon as he came back, he won the first year, won the second year, and we need to see what's going to happen next month if he's going to win 3 years in a row, or can Frederick Osbo or Ryan Turk knock him off. So so you can watch it this weekend. It's Formula Drift is they actually live stream it just like us. They get a few more viewers though. But they live stream it on YouTube, just a few. They live stream it on YouTube, and you can look up Formula Drift. Friday is qualifying, top 32 qualifying. So they will determine who's going to be in the top 32 Friday. And then Saturday, they'll do the top 32. And as soon as they get to the top 16, they take a little break. And then once they start the top 16, they're in it to win it. And it's just it's a fantastic sport to watch. And I'll tell you what, if you're in Texas, go check it out. It's the most fan-friendly sport I've ever been to in my life. The pits, they sprinkle all of the pits out amongst the vendors and the shops. You can watch the drivers and their crew work on the cars. You can talk to them while they're working on the cars. There is no better sport to engage an athlete than drift racing. And we've been to Irwindale, we've been to Long Beach, and all the additional stuff that they have there. It's just the best fan experience that we've ever had. We've gone with my boys and Jessica and Andrew, and we've all gone and just had Dylan. Okay, Dylan corrected me on Osbo's car because he's an Osbo homer. It's a rural hatchback, not an IM. I think he was an IM last year. So you can correct me on that. So thank you for correcting me on the car. It still looks the same as it did last year. So that is exactly what I'm going to be watching Friday and Saturday, amongst other things. But we are hardcore Formula Drift fans in this house. So what are you going to be watching this weekend, Dave?
I don't know. You just might have sold me. I get to watch a guy drive really fast and potentially out of control, and his name is James Dean. Am I the only one that finds that crazy? And he's really good at it? I don't know.
He's really tall, too. I think he's like almost 7 feet tall.
Is he? I don't know. You just said James Dean, like out of control driving, and I shot me back to the 50s. I don't know. I got time machined. I thought I heard that somewhere before. Yeah, so I'm going to be watching. Check on ESPN, ESPN2, all ESPN channels, HPN, Ocho if it's on again. So they're running this E60 series, and they're randomly doing it, and it goes back to our play it through thing. But basically, it's an E60 series they put out a few years ago, and they're replaying it. And it's called, what's it called? Comeback Season. So it's sports after 9/11, and it looks more of it from like a baseball perspective. And it's got George W. Bush in it. and and it shows what he was trying to do. And then I think 2-3 days after, he went out and threw a pitch for the Yankees game when they started games back up again, and it's probably the most solid opening pitch I've ever seen in my life. I'm not gonna lie, it was a dart right down the middle. Like, he nailed it while he was wearing cowboy boots. So no wonder he owns the Rangers.
Exactly. He's had
But
practice.
no, he had the president. I was impressed. So check that out. It's been playing all week. They're going to play it all week. So just look for it. It's their E60 series, and it's called the Comeback Season Sports After 9/11, and that will help. Just take time to remember what today is and what this week is and all that. And then let's see, what else we got going on? What to watch this week? So the WNBA playoffs, like I said earlier, starts tonight. It's already going. So one game started already on 5 p.m. on ESPN2. There's a second game on right after it, back to back. And then there's also back-to-back games on Sunday. So on Sunday, they start at noon, and they're on ESPN2. College football, the games that I'm going to watch this weekend or pay more attention to are North Carolina at Wake Forest. They're both 2-0. Wake Forest at home, they're favored by 3, but I'd pick North Carolina on the upset. I think Mac Browning's got good momentum with that North Carolina team. So I'm going to pick an upset with North Carolina. USC is at BYU. Can this backup quarterback kid go to BYU? They're only favored by 4, and they're ranked now. They're 24 ranked team. BYU is not ranked, but play good football, and they always play good football at home, and they're good, strong kids, and they're physical, and they usually execute pretty well. So the USC, they don't have a cupcake game on the road this week for that. After that big Stanford win, we'll see if they used all their energy against Stanford and have anything left for BYU, which I think will be a tough game. And then you have number 19, Iowa is favored by 1 at Iowa State. So it's the Battle of Iowa. So Iowa, I featured last week in my Play It Through. They won't be at their home stadium. They'll be on the road this week against Iowa State. So early in the season, you have the Battle of Iowa, the 2 big Iowa schools. And the ranked team's only favored by 1, so you can tell how big of a rivalry that is when the other team isn't ranked and it's only a 1-point game. That means they have good history of battles. And then Arizona State at Michigan State. Michigan State's ranked 18th. They're favored by 13. That's at 1 p.m. on Fox. And this is a big test for Herm Edwards. Big game, going on the road, playing a Big Ten team. He's got a lot of famous coaches that are helping him on that coaching staff now, popping in, checking on their friend, giving those kids insiders other kids aren't getting because of Herb's career and who he is and, his Rolodex. And so I'm interested to see how he does taking that team up to a ranked Michigan State team in Lansing. So that's an interesting game to me to watch.
So let me ask you on that. I mean, with that, is 13 realistic? I mean, Michigan favored by 13? Is that a realistic? Yeah. You think
I think so because of Michigan State's lines. Okay. I think that their lines are going to be more dominant. Arizona State always has good talent, especially we're usually running back, receiver, and stuff. But the way when you get a Big Ten team at home, and if they can control the crowd and the clock and everything, they just wear you down. They just physically put a toll on you that a lot of our West Coast teams just can't seem. We're opposite styles now. So our teams are built to run and gun and to play real quick football. It's basically 7-on-7 with the helmet on. It's real fast. It's screen passes. It's quick. The backs are smaller. They're little backs usually, unless they're at Stanford or Cal or somewhere. Oregon State, but everywhere else in the country, they have big backs. So when you're playing this recruiting game and you're getting all these linebackers to cover slot receivers now when you're recruiting, and then you go play the Pac or the Big Ten, and you have your linebackers are like strong safety size because that's what you need for the Pac-12. Well, now you got guys just manhandling your linebackers in that second wave for Michigan State, because they play big old boy football. So I just think Michigan State can wear them down, and I think that's a pretty accurate spread, really, for a home game.
Florida,
but I want to see what Herm does, though. I want to see how Herm Edwards. It's a big test, so I just want to see how well his team responds for him.
So, Florida, Kentucky, moving on.
Yeah, Florida's ranked 9. They're favored by 8.5. and they're going to Kentucky. It's at 4 p.m. on ESPN on Saturday. And I don't know. I just kind of I think Kentucky's a little bit tougher team than people give them credit. Florida did have a closer game than people thought against that Miami team that wasn't really ready to battle them. They only won by 4. So I don't think that Florida's going to lose this, but I think Kentucky can keep it within 8.5, and it's just an early SEC game. So I just kind of like that game. I think this will kind of really tell us after that Miami game where Florida is. Should they be ranked 9, or maybe are they more like 20th? You know, like how good are they really going to be?
Did you really put Major League Soccer on the list?
Yeah.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Purposely?
Yeah.
You did that on purpose?
Yeah. There's only like a month left, man. We got to get into this stuff. You know?
Okay.
You know, Atlanta, Washington, Minnesota, Columbus, and then who is it? Oh, no. What is it?
Cleveland.
Did I put them in there? Oh, no. Portland. Yeah, I was looking at I put the wrong thing on it. That was actually MLB. But yeah, I did put the MLS on it because Portland, the Timbas, are playing the Washington, D.C. squad. And I think that'll be a good match because they both have about 34 points in the table. So they're really, good playoff teams. I think that'll be a good matchup this week. That's at 12:30 on ESPN. And then 2:30 p.m. Pacific time, ESPN Plus is Minnesota and Salt Lake. So that's also, they're right in the pack. Those would be 2 good MLS matchups. Yeah, the one I mistyped. That was MLB. That was supposed to be MLB.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, that makes more sense then.
Typing error on my part.
The S is the S. Oh, the S and the B aren't really that close together. I don't know.
But yeah.
So, how is the prognostication going with your English Premier Soccer League?
Good. Everyone's right on pace. They had a bye last week. So this week, I think the game to watch is Tottenham Crystal Palace because Tottenham hasn't been playing as well as people thought they would this year so far at the start of the season. Crystal Palace so far is playing pretty well. So I think that's a good matchup. And then Manchester City is playing Norwich, and Norwich is terrible, and Manchester City is the 1B to my Liverpool. And I think they'll win that game by 3 goals. So I'm predicting a 3-goal defeat, Manchester City over Norwich.
Wow, yeah. That's a big. I mean, I don't watch a lot of soccer.
Yeah, it's a blowout.
That would
like
be
19 against the Dolphins.
Yeah. I think that's more than 19 against the Dolphins.
Oh, yeah.
So wait a minute. No, this can't be possible. It really can't be possible. Hockey starts this Sunday.
Yeah.
No way. No.
Arizona Coyotes against Las Vegas. Yeah.
They just stopped.
Golden Knights.
They just ended last week.
It's at 3 p.m. I don't know if it's on TV. Check your local listings. I don't know, but it starts Sunday. First game. It's the only game. So it's like their opening game because there's only one game this Sunday at 3 o'clock. And it's the Arizona Coyotes at Las Vegas Golden Knights. I am rooting for the Golden Knights.
Oh, okay. Good. Go Golden Knights.
Absolutely.
You folks that are watching, the few that are watching, and the hundreds that will watch after we post this, and Stan and Dylan right now, I think. But the hundreds, we get hundreds and hundreds of people that watch this video every week. Dave, I got to point the right way here. Dave, the knowledge that is in this guy's melon of any sport and every sport is just literally amazing. You could only wish to have this kind of knowledge. Sorry. And this love for all kinds of sports. Love for all kinds of sports. Go Dolphins.
Yeah.
You're hoping for that 17 point. You're trying to give them encouragement for that 17 points, right? Only lose by 17. And
Fitzpatrick.
I so want him to do well. I almost wanted to pick him as a bench QB, Fitzmagic, that he would light it up like he did some of the time in Tampa Bay. I'm not going to lie. Tampa Bay would be better with, I think, with Ryan Fitzpatrick than Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, I'm going to tell you right now, Jameis Winston is done after this season in Tampa Bay.
I don't know, but Ryan Fitzpatrick had a fun little stat, I think, this weekend. I'm pretty sure he threw a touchdown. Only person to throw a touchdown to 8 with 8 different teams. So always liked, never loved Ryan Fitzpatrick with that NFL stat of only quarterback ever to throw 8 touchdown passes playing with 8 different teams. So we like you, but
that's funny.
See you later, buddy.
I looking back at it, I gotta kind of go off topic and tell a little story. I was at lunch with my son today, and we were talking the Oregon. I told you before the show that they were playing before they were pros, and they were playing the first BCS national championship game with Oregon Auburn. The first BCS with in the playoffs, right? So Oregon Auburn is in there. Of course, we know that somebody won that game. But I was telling him that, I was kind of just bragging about you and I and coaching and stuff in our younger years. And I said, yeah, you know what? I was running read option spread before, Mike Bellotti, Chip Kelly, all those guys at Oregon. And what they call now the jet sweep, right? It's just, it's a tight reverse, a quick reverse with the tight end slot receiver. It's just a quick reverse. Quarterback turns around, hands the ball off quickly, fakes to the running back. And so we used to call it X reverse, run it with the or quick reverse, run it with the tight end or a slot receiver. And it was just kind of funny because I was telling him about it, just kind of reminiscing of the old years of coaching football and the Oregon Ducks in that Auburn game. While I was kind of looking over my son watching the game behind him, they ran that play, what they would call a jet sweep now. They ran that play. I'm like, oh, look, they're running my play. I said, I invented that. And I said, look, because they'll show the replay because they got 0 yards on it. And, not to say we got any more.
Yards they got the whole game.
What's that?
So that's about how many yards they got the whole damn game that game.
But they literally ran the same play that I was just talking about. And the Ducks did. And I said, see, I invented it. They ran it. And, but anyway, so hour and a half in, I think that's all we got for the week. You want to close with anything? Got anything on your mind?
Not really. I'm looking forward to the season. I mean, I felt juiced up. I mean, I was so excited on Sunday to get up and get my coffee and my breakfast ready and watch a little pregame and just get back into that schedule of nice fall football time. And at our house, I know it's a time that, like, many other homes in the United States, I mean, we don't do a whole lot on Sundays when it's football season. I walk around, I pitter putter and clean some stuff up and get some laundry done. And, we cook at home and we hang out, but we don't really go anywhere. And we've got games on all day. Even for my 49er game, I couldn't get it on what I had available to watch. But I found it. I streamed it on my PC. I found a live streaming site where I could go and watch it. Found Whitney's Seahawk game. Put that on too, so we could at least hear them both at the same time. And but we do that family thing. Like I'm thankful because my wife's into it. She likes to cook good food on football Sundays. She's down with it too. That it's just a rest day. We just sit, we enjoy watching football together, and it's just a good way for us to kind of recharge. We're not overthinking on anything. We're just watching the games and talking and catching up on our week and having some good food together. So I'm just glad football Sundays are back in our house because it's always a happy house on Sundays when it's football Sunday.
Yeah, I agree with you. I watched my wife could watch her show on the TV, and I had my iPad there streaming the football game, and so it was the best of both worlds. And I could put my AirPods in if I want and listen to the game, or just kind of watch it in silence and still watch the show and that she's watching and participate in the family. And your household has much better, healthier food than our household.
Yeah.
But it's definitely all good. But if anything, folks, have a great week. I'm just gonna say, don't forget, never forget, always remember. And we're gonna see you next week, same time, same Facebook channel, and we're gonna see you guys all next week. All right, have a great week, everyone. Dave, Chuck, Sports and Drafts. We'll talk to you soon. Bye now.